Good evening and welcome to the Ghosts R N.E.A.R show, where we discuss and actively explore paranormal phenomena. I am your host, Keith Johnson, the co-founder of New England Anomalies Research, and my co-founder, Sandra, is again in the control booth, keeping very, very busy, keeping things pristine. And hello, Sandra. She's waving now. And I'd like to welcome you all to our 12th year anniversary show. So thank you all for being here. Thank you so much, and welcome studio audience. We have a wonderful studio audience with us tonight to help celebrate. And some people in the audience I was just in a show with, we did with Reimagine Theater, we did the Rover, and that's why I have these homemade masks. We made these during rehearsal, see? So they are totally unique. There are no others like them. So that's, and my fellow cast members made their own as well, and because it took place during a carnival. So we had a lot of fun, and the show was quite a success, Reimagine Theater. And well, with no further ado, I'd like to introduce my guest tonight, Miss Mary Foley.
Thank you.
Yes, paranormal enthusiast who has had a lot of experiences with us here in Rhode Island.
Yes.
Of course, and haunted Rhode Island. And let's get some background with how you started your interest with the paranormal. Did something happen? Was there a catalyst? Or?
I've always been interested in the paranormal since I was a little girl. You know, I've had a lot of things in my dreams that have come true. I've seen a lot of, you know, little things when you're a kid, you know. But as I got older, I started dabbling more with the paranormal because it interested me. And got me really going when it was probably about 10 years ago at my house. I had a tape recorder and plugged it in, and you know, we all had the, you know, the phones and the tape recorders for, you know, and when I played it, I said, "Hi, this is Mary, thank you for, you know, leave me a message," or whatever. And replay was not my voice.
Oh, really?
And I did not know what EVPs were, really, at the time. And it said my name 3 times. I had a painting up on the wall that my friend Christian painted of an airplane, and it flipped upside down.
Oh, really?
And the voice, you could hear 3 different voices, and it was saying my name. So right there, that totally just flew me back, you know, and it just started researching it and understanding what everything was. And it left it up from there.
And how old were you at the time?
I'm 38
child?
now, so that happened, I think, when I was in my 20s.
Okay.
Yes.
Okay. So, did you have any things going on in your childhood, like kept you awake and?
Yes, I've had, like I said, I've seen doors open and slam when I was a kid. I would have dreams that were so visually in color, and certain things would happen that would. You know, yes, I've dabbled a lot since then, and I've seen so many things, like, you know, haunted Rhode Island. That's definitely, we have so much history.
Yeah, yeah. Speaking of which, you are sometimes an attendee at Ocean State Paracon.
Yes. Yeah. Very, very much so. Yes.
That's a fun get-together.
It is.
People from all over the country.
All over the country.
Get together, and in just a moment, we're going to play some footage from that. I've got some footage from Ocean State Paracon.
That would be great.
And you're in it too. You can see.
Oh no, they're good. No, that's great.
Yeah.
That's great.
Yep. But and of course, as you know, Ocean State Paracon takes place in Harrisville, Rhode Island.
Yes.
At the Assembly Theater, which is of course the same town as the Conjuring was set.
Yes.
Which is a true story, based on a true story. And it's actually less than a mile from the actual Conjuring house.
I've always wanted to go.
Yes. Well, if it was open to the public,
right.
I'm sure you would.
Right, right, correct.
But, okay, and you, of course, have done you visited a lot of haunted sites in Rhode Island and the New England area.
Yes, very much so.
What sticks out in your mind?
Certain places that I've been to. I would say one of the most places that I felt a lot of paranormal would be Freetown State Forest.
Oh, yes.
Yes, Freetown State Forest.
Bridgewater Triangle.
Correct.
Lauren Coleman has designated it, yes.
Oh.
Yes, what did you experience there?
I have captured a couple of EVPs. I've heard drums. I've heard voices, clear to the ear. And you can feel I mean, it's overwhelming.
Yes.
It's really is. I've seen shadow people there a few times.
Oh, yeah. Were you with anybody that saw them?
Dina, my friend.
Dina saw them.
Yes, Dina was there, and my friend Carol, and yes, that was. It's intriguing. That is the most place, I think, one of the most places I've ever been to that has drawn me back so many times.
Yes. Now that Freetown State Forest, of course, the history of that plays a lot. It's a very bloody history. I think that the rest of the country doesn't really realize or have that much of an awareness, but it's the most bloodshed and devastation of any war on this American soil, including the Civil War. I mean, it's per capita, King Philip's War, as it was known.
It's got a lot of history, a lot of history, and also with in the 80s or 70s and 80s with the serial killer, people getting Mary Lou Arruda.
Oh yes,
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 and,
yes. I remember that. I remember that happening.
Yeah.
An unfortunate young teenage girl who was, tied to a tree, was murdered there, and they're very, very sad. And of course, there's been occult practices there, satanic worship and such.
Yeah.
And in the Freetown State Forest and Bridgewater Triangle in general, there's been everything from the phantom hitchhiker to UFOs spotted to pterodactyls.
Right,
There's just
black
so many,
helicopters.
yes,
and
Bigfoot sightings, things like that.
the vortex, they say.
Yes, the vortex is right. Vortex is right.
Yes.
But speaking of Ocean State Paracon, as we were a moment ago, maybe we could bring up that footage now. And this is footage taken by our friend Gary Namora. You know Gary?
Yes, I do.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah, he took some footage there. So this is just
I would love to see it.
showing us having some fun there and just chatting around and everybody getting to know each other.
Hey, Jerry. Who gain here? How you doing, man? Good. Right. Who gain here? Hey, I see you on TV all the time. How you doing, kid?
Pretty good.
Good.
Yep.
What you been up to?
No. Just drove here with no brakes.
You're kidding?
Nope.
That's taking a risk, bro.
Only if you don't know what you're doing.
Yeah. I just talked to Keith for quite a while today. Kyle's supposed to be here somewhere. Yeah, I didn't see him though. I walked right by you. Must have walked right by him then.
Supposed to be talking to.
Oh. No, I was talking to Keith.
I've heard of them.
Oh. Oh. Oh, not the only press agent here. You too, huh?
Yeah.
Yeah, I went to Tribune.
Awesome.
Yeah.
Okay, we're less than 50
Reporter / investigator.
away. Carl Johnson is doing in the hall.
Oh.
Remember, everything you want to do.
Gary.
So it's your fault.
Yeah.
Touch your face.
Yeah, I just gotta say hi to Kyle that I'm in about, I don't know, about a half hour or so. I'm having a blast.
I figured that.
Yeah.
So, I was in the lecture when you walked in a few minutes ago.
Yeah. I bought the store.
I know. I saw you, Gary, had a big bag.
Yeah.
All right, about half an hour.
Yeah.
Other person, I can't mention his name anymore.
Kyle, how are you?
Hi there.
Hey, I'm doing a vlog for YouTube. Good seeing you. I just saw Keith a little while ago.
He's around.
Yeah, I saw Jeremiah. He doesn't look like he feels too good for the heat, though.
Is he still in the Porta-John?
No. No, he's walking around. I was concerned about his health right now. He drove here with no brakes.
Yeah, you heard that? I was going to say,
Yeah.
first thing he said was, I don't have brakes.
Yeah.
I said, you better stay in the theater. You better stay in the...
I told him he's taking a risk.
Now I don't know what I did with my face.
I lost my sunglasses earlier. I had sunglasses and I lost them. Yeah.
I just realized I don't have mine. I must put them down on the table or something.
Look at this. I bought out the store, Kyle. I bought everything I could get my hands on. Well, I came with a lot of money this year. I came with $100. Yeah. Yeah. I couldn't get Andrea's book this year, but I got Keith's. I got Keith's book this year. Next year I'll get the second book for Andrea. I already got the first one at home. I'm available for investigations, you know. I do freelance. So, you know, so if you have an investigation, let me know.
Do you have a card?
No card, no, but I get is a sticker. You want my phone number, I can give it to you.
Yeah, if you got
Okay.
something.
Hold on, I want to give you a sticker too if I have any left. I was giving them out all day today.
We like you football demon. Okay.
Hi, how are you?
How are you?
You Mr. Lopez?
Very good, yes, sir.
Hey,
Nice to meet you.
nice to meet you too.
Nice to meet you.
Yeah, George Lopez.
Very.
Yeah, I see you everywhere.
I tried to be.
Me
I
too.
have a few clones in between.
Yeah, I hear you. Oh, Mr. Lopez.
Thank you kindly. Thank you.
You're welcome. I just gave George Lopez.
Is that your, what you got here?
Oh yeah, that's my I'm a ghost. I ran out of cars. Oh no.
That's all right.
I'm sorry.
Anyway.
Well, you could probably find them.
Yeah.
Find more. Yeah,
I'm on Facebook sometime.
yeah, I wanna. Yeah.
And again, that was some footage from Ocean State Paracon taken by our friend Gary de Morinville of Ghost Chasers in Fall River. And of course, we saw you in there.
That was a really nice time. Good turnout.
Yes, yes, always a good turnout.
Yeah.
It just seems to get bigger every year.
It was a lot of fun. Fun.
Okay, now one place in particular that I'm very anxious to talk about is Slater Mill.
Ah,
Slater Mill in
Famous
Pawtucket, Rhode
Slater
Island.
Mill.
The famous Slater Mill, yes.
yes.
And of course, my brother organized the Mills and Mysteries program, and there exactly 10 years ago, in
just 10 years
2008.
ago.
Yeah, and it became huge. After anybody who's been there knows what a huge event that is, and we have people lined up out into Roosevelt Avenue to get in there.
It was
very, very popular, and it was the same year he started it. Right afterwards. Of course, the TV show Ghost Hunters heard about it, and wow, we've got to get onto this to Slater, Haunted Slater Mill, and they came almost right afterwards and did a show there.
Nice.
So
nice.
it's just it's a very, very popular venue, the Mills and Mysteries at Slater Mill, but it is truly a place of paranormal activity.
I agree.
People do not always experience that, but sometimes when it's unexpected, they will. You know, and it's hard to picture it during the daytime tours, but things do happen there too as well. Now, tell us what you've experienced there.
When I went there, of course, was with Carl, and as soon as you walk in that door, I could feel like almost like the heaviness coming in. There's children. You can sense that there's children there still.
Mm-hmm. And of course, child labor in the history of Slater Mill did play a prominent part.
Yes, and I have to say, I mean, there's so much energy in there that it almost didn't make me want to leave. Mm-hmm. I felt very attached, almost like they wanted you to stay there to communicate. Mm-hmm. And there were certain places as you're walking in the Slater Mill where it's nice and warm, and then you're walking, all of a sudden it's chill, just in that one spot from walking.
Yes.
You know. And as me and Carl were talking at one point at Slater Mill, as we were going outside, the door shut in front of him.
Oh, really?
Right where I was coming out. And he opened it and goes, "I don't think they want you to leave."
No.
And I was like,
Yeah.
I don't think so either. But it was almost like it was very emotional. I almost wanted to cry because it just felt like there's, some.
Yeah, some people, if they're sensitive at all, some people do seem to suddenly get overwhelmed and feel like crying all of a sudden.
Unfortunately, I don't have a photo to show for this particular one, which I did wish I had. Mm-hmm. But there was one experience that Carl and me were at part of Pawtucket Mill, I think, where, I forget what they call it. I don't know, the water mill or something.
Yeah, you mean along the Blackstone? Yeah.
Correct, yep. And I felt that there was like a boy there.
Okay, in the wheel pit? Is this in the wheel pit?
That's what it is.
Okay, the wheel pit at
Thank
Wilkinson.
you. Okay,
You're
there we
welcome,
go.
yeah.
I'm like trying not
yeah,
good
where
at
the big
Pictionary
house
either.
is the big water wheel there.
Yes, thank you. So I was off in my corner, and I felt that there was maybe a little boy there. Mm-hmm. And I didn't even know that people were taking pictures of me at the time. Mm-hmm. And I was kind of asking, to communicate with me. And Carl got a photo, somebody took a photo, and it shows me, and my face was all blacked, like it was blacked out.
Really?
And you see almost like a lightning rod or something that was like over my head.
Like a plasma light or something, yes.
And then you could see a little boy shadow, almost like the whole silhouette,
Really?
right next to me. And it was just amazing because I knew what I was thinking about, what I was feeling, and then Carl showing me.
Do you think something was trying to contact you and resonate that?
I do. I unfortunately, I mean, obviously this is part of what we do. We investigate and try to, I think I get attached. I think there's
right.
an emotional.
And, the history of Slater Mill and the Wilkinson Mill is where the wheel pit is. And that would have been usually there were no children allowed in there. That would have been a very, very dangerous place because there's no child labor in there. In Slater Mill, yes, but a very dangerous place for a small child to be.
Right, right.
That railing that surrounds the water wheel, that didn't exist, obviously, in the 1800s. So very, very, that was put in 1978 for tourist safety. So, I mean, if you didn't watch your footing, you could go right in.
Yeah,
and there's the big water wheel, of course, and everything.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah.
So,
that was a unique experience.
yes, yeah.
And I also, well, we don't want to get off the subject of protect.
No, go ahead. Yeah.
But there was, everybody's heard of, call it Vampire's Graveyard.
Yes, yeah, exactly.
And it's at Exeter. Right?
In Exeter, Rhode Island.
That place I have experienced many.
Friend Charles is very familiar with that place. He's been there.
Yeah, I do have a photo. I don't know if you want me to show now.
Yes,
or,
yes, go ahead.
I did try to get it. I think it's kind of hard, but let me explain this photo. What we're about to see is I took pictures of the grave stones. Now this one's cropped, but something shows up on the photo on top of it. I don't know if you can see that. I don't know if
like
you
an anomaly.
Anomaly. It was almost like a full entity.
Yeah, show me that. Yeah.
Put that up.
Now, of course, you didn't see any of this. When
No,
you're taking
nothing. And I've tried to debunk it. I've gone back. There's no trees in the way. There's nothing that would. Nothing came up again.
Yeah.
So.
It's interesting.
Okay. But there are, I mean, I have seen things and heard things there. So, I mean, that's, I think, if anyone asks one particular place also, that it's very, as you well know, you get a lot of things happening there too.
Right, exactly. And anybody who's watched our previous shows know that Rhode Island did have a history of vampire exhumations. And that's how people dealt with multiple deaths in families where one family member after another was succumbing to disease, a contagious disease such as tuberculosis, which they call consumption. Any disease like that which really ate you away was called consumption. And they dealt with that by digging up relatives to see who was the incorruptible. And if they found somebody who hadn't decayed properly, they would sometimes mutilate the corpse, burn the heart, and such like that. And I think that these cemeteries, such as Vampire's Grave, and a lot of them in New England, are not necessarily haunted by the spirits of the deceased there.
I agree.
But yes, rather by negative energy that's been brought in.
Yes.
Because folklore tends to snowball, and you get into modern times, and then people go there for a thrill. They've heard this, there's a vampire buried here. And you're always going to have people who desecrate and topple over stones, which I hate that.
No, I do too. And I do agree with what you said. I don't mean to. But what people say to me, do you see spirits at the cemetery? I said, well, I don't think that's where they want to stay. So if anything is haunted around there, I don't believe that it's the spirits that were not there. I agree.
So much negativity has been brought in there.
Yeah.
And that introduces negative energy. And I mean, it's consecrated ground. It's been blessed and everything. But when people do these things, it does attract negative energy and negative entities as well.
Absolutely. Yeah. And I've also captured EVPs there too.
Oh, have you?
I did. And I remember a couple of my friends, we went out there and we saw a red light flash, like almost like a fireball, and it was going fast.
Oh, really?
And it was so weird, and we could see it on the camera when we're doing this, but not to our eye. So I snapped a picture, and we did capture. And
was this like in the cemetery grounds or above the trees?
It was up, like not right above, like, I don't know, like this would be like the grave, probably just right up there, and it was just going so quickly.
Really?
And I will have to send in some more photos too to see.
Yes, that's interesting. Did you ever feel like really threatened there, and you had to get out of there?
At one point I did. One day, I actually thought I saw a visualization of almost like a woman, but it wasn't good. It was, and I remember screaming, and I never get overwhelmed like that. And everyone was like, "Are you okay?" And I was like,
Didn't seem like some spirit asking for help.
no,
or
it wasn't.
Like that.
It was right by her Nellie. Is it Nellie Vaughan?
Yes.
Her gravestone, right over there. But it wasn't pleasant. What happened. So, and you know, EVPs that you get were not nice. They weren't.
Oh,
you know,
really?
I didn't get anything nice. It was very dark sounding.
Oh,
so
really? Yes. Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
Wow. Now at Slater Mill, I'll ask the
Yes.
same question. Did you
Yes.
ever feel like you might be in danger there, or you?
No, I did not
Very
feel.
few people feel like they're in danger.
No, I did
there.
not feel like I was in danger at all. I just felt that there was a lot of, whether it may be children's spirits or something else that's there resonating, that's trying to communicate. Very much so.
It's interesting in Slater Mill. You go to, and this goes through all 3 buildings on the site. You go to different spots, but especially in Slater Mill. You get to a certain spot. Usually, it's by that big machine we call the spinning mule.
Yes.
That you know, was a very dangerous machine that children would get sent into while the machine's running to untangle thread and retie the thread, and the carriage is going to snap back within 5 seconds, or less. So a lot of people, when they walk by that, even if they don't know the history of the machine, they start feeling overwhelmed there.
Yeah, there are many spots that I've felt that are very cold, where others you wouldn't even. And a lot of people I noticed that were there that night also said the same thing. So it's, you know, and just walking alone by yourself and just feeling and taking it all in, there's so much. So I would definitely put that on top of the list of paranormal activity.
How did you meet Carl? Was first?
Carl, how did I meet Carl? That's a good question.
I mean, we've been to so many
Oh my goodness.
conventions
I
and
think it was from
haunted spots. And
right, and
where did we meet this person? You know?
We had a mutual friend for a while too,
Right.
from T.A.P.S. But Dina Palazzini was a very good friend of mine, and she thinks she's the one who introduced me to Carl.
Oh, probably so. Yeah.
Yeah.
And of course, she went to Slater Mill.
And me and her have gone to many places. And I'm sure if she was here, she would probably throw in some, you know.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. Excuse me.
Of course, you've gone into cryptozoology too, as well.
Not as.
Speaking of the Bridgewater Triangle and the Freetown State Forest, yes.
I'm, you know, with how I feel I'm open to a lot of things. I believe possibilities, different realms, there's so much out there that we know that we're trying to answer. And every time you think you might get this close, it's like, wow, you know, the things that you see.
You realize how much you don't know if you
Yes.
just gain little insights here and there.
Yes, absolutely. Dina and I went to Elder Blue Cemetery.
Oh, yes.
One particular time, and I do have to mention her on this. We did, we went up and it was very overwhelming feeling. And Dina stopped and she bent down and she could feel somebody was like watching her, and she looked at me and I said, "There's something dark, isn't there?" And she says, "Yes." And I thought maybe there might have been, whether it was an animal or something that was around, and I said, "If there's somebody here," I made a few objective words, what I'm not going to say on here, but as soon as I did that, you could hear a scream. Right after, and it was the most horrible scream. It wasn't human, it wasn't animal. I don't know what it was.
Now, have you heard this like in the cemetery grounds?
Yes, and I've never heard it. And Dina looks at me. Now, she doesn't go anywhere. Dina does not run for anything. But she looked at me and she said, "Run." So, I mean, it was something that I'll never forget.
Wow. Yeah, that is frightening when you hear a scream. Were you two just there by yourselves?
Yes.
Oh, that's a frightening situation.
Yes, it was pretty.
Yeah.
Yes.
Elder Blue Cemetery, that's a beautiful cemetery, but I would not go there. Certainly not by myself after hours.
No, and we went into the
You don't know who you're going to meet up with.
No, I mean, yes, it's very true. Don't go there past when it's, unless you got other people with you, of course.
Yeah.
But,
and of course, they had the, kind of like the opening with the bars there.
They do, and that's...
People like to have their pictures taken behind the bars and everything.
I still fit in there, so it was okay. No, me and Dina, of course, went in every one of them, what we could fit into.
How about, speaking of that area, how about Precious Blood Cemetery?
Precious Blood. Now, that's not my forte. I haven't gone there much. My friend Carol that's here, she's been there more than me. But I've heard stories.
Yes.
Right. Of course, about the coffins that...
Yes, in the flash flood of 1955, in Hurricane Diane, when the Blackstone banks overflowed with water and Of course, that's right bordering the Blackstone, and of course, a lot of the coffins were washed out. It's on a hill, and they just came
And they
washed
all
out. It's just a horrible, horrible situation. And Carl Richardson told me, he was talking to somebody that said in 1968, they found, I guess there was a rainstorm or something, they found a coffin there with skeletal remains that they hadn't found.
Really?
Yeah,
Oh, wow.
yeah, along the banks of the
Wow.
Blackstone. I guess it just washed out after all those years since 1955. And,
Okay.
you know, so that kind of place is topsy-turvy. They don't
does,
know
it
who's
does.
buried in what grave after a certain era. You know, but
It's a shame, though. It was
it is.
very
It
much
was a
shame.
terrible tragedy. And but we've when we've gone there, every time we've gone there, we've captured an EVP. Without even asking questions, you know, we just go through. Yeah.
Well, now that I feel like someone's telling me, we did capture one, but it might be very hard to see. This is at Precious Blood.
Yeah.
I don't know if you want to show that, but it's,
Yeah.
we thought there was somebody up there. You know,
Oh,
you can
okay.
see a shadow, me and
Okay.
Carol.
Yeah, if you can get a shot of this.
But there's
Looks
a
like
shadow that's peeking up behind one of the Colosseum in
Right.
Precious Blood
Okay.
Cemetery.
Yes. Yep, a shadow figure. Yep, that place is very, very active, very active. Well, believe it or not, we're almost out of time.
Okay.
I do want to thank you very
Thank
much
you
for
so
being
much,
our
and a pleasure.
wonderful guest. Yeah.
Thank you.
We'll have to
Thanks.
continue this another time.
I would
because,
love to, and when I get-
luckily, it shows we just feel like we're getting started with all this.
And I would love to bring in more photos and more stories to tell.
Good. I'm sure you
Yes.
have a lot of them.
I do.
I'm
I
sure you
do.
will accumulate a lot more of them too.
I hope so.
Especially
I hope
here in
so.
New England.
Yes, of course.
And
So,
you've done, of course, you're a professional model.
I have done rockabilly, pinup.
Right.
Yes.
Exactly.
Yes.
And, you know, acting as
And
well.
acting
and
as
like
well.
I explained, we just did the Rover, and we have these homemade masks.
And I love
this
these.
time I'd like to invite people to just come down, and anybody want to come down and just meet our guest, meet Mary. Come on down. And, don't be shy, our studio audience. Yeah. And,
Hi, how are you?
you have Carrie and
And here
Bella.
comes
They were
Carol.
just on
Come
our
on,
show
Carol.
with us. You know.
This is Miss Carol. She's been with me on many occasions. Ghost
Hi,
hunting.
Carol.
When
How you
I saw
doing?
that,
Oh yeah.
black shadow ran in front of
Oh
me.
wow, that can be very,
But
very unnerving.
anyone else want
Very
to come up
unnerving.
before the
Yeah, come
show?
on up. Don't be
Wanna
shy.
come? Legend, Cass.
Whether you've been in
Caroline?
theater or not, yeah, please come down. Yes.
Come here, come here, Legend.
And Bella, you have your
Kristen.
Miss New England.
Yes, come on.
Yeah, let's
Come
show
on
that.
over.
Come on, ladder off. Yeah, come on. Yeah. And Carrie, of course, we were just in the show together. It was a good experience, wasn't it?
It was fun.
Yeah,
Super fun.
it was a lot of fun. And of course, the masks we made and everything. And
I know those are wild. I want to put one
they're
on.
homemade. They're homemade, and they weren't easy. At
great.
least not for me. It wasn't easy for me. I had Lionel make the flowers for me.
Yeah. I don't know how he sculpted those flowers, but
I don't know. He had a knack for it, but
All right.
yeah. So it was at a carnival. So we wore these masks and everything, and
Those are awesome.
and you can. Scully's got this one on. See, this is we're all different creatures of the night and everything like that. Anybody want to try it on? Get ready for Halloween.
All right, give me this.
Yep. So that was,
All right.
that was a very, very fun show. Yes, yeah. Anybody want to try this one on? I know you're probably sick of wearing masks.
I'll say I'm so good with masks.
Yes, that's right, exactly.
That's
Yeah.
it's just probably too late for that. We'll get that developed.
Okay, yeah. Oh yeah, that's a neat one.
I've gone to.
Good night, everybody.
Bye, thank you.
Yeah. Well, thank you so much for coming up and